pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Carlo?
Here.
Mr. Hoffman?
Here.
Mr. Condit?
Here.
Mr. Molina?
Here.
Mr. Silverstein?
Here. You gonna fix that? Approval of meeting minutes from February 9th, 2016.
So moved.
Second. Roll call on approval of minutes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Condit?
Yes.
Mr. Molina?
Yes.
Mr. Silverstein?
Here. Yes.
Mr. Carlo?
Yes. Okay, at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Chad Salazar.
Salazar. From
Cellular.
911 Cellular.
Yeah. It's all yours.
Thank you. Before we get started, let me tell you a real quick background here. This morning at the mayor's meeting, Chad presented to us this system that he has come up with, and it kind of harkened back to where we lost the two homes, the two condos recently, and when they made the 911 calls, the 911 calls went to Geauga County first, from Geauga County down to Summit County. Then did they finally make it to Twinsburg?
Finally, yes.
So how long was it the time?
It took about 4.5 minutes for them to finally connect to a dispatch center.
Okay. And in that process, the entire two condos burnt completely down. So Chad has a system here that just doesn't, it makes that not happen. So.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone, for giving us an opportunity to show products. As the Mayor mentioned, I'm Chad Salazar. I'm President and co-founder of 911 Cellular. I have been an active auxiliary police officer with Village of Reminderville for 30 years now, and I've written applications, computer applications, cell phone applications for police, fire, EMS, mobile data computers also. I had hundreds of agencies nationally that used the applications, and I even was invited to give talks at FBI National Academy to police executives as well. We were approached, my chief, he's since retired, Chief Pitts, he was approached by several local law enforcement officials. They wanted the chief to talk to me to see if I would write an application where they could find location of a person that was in trouble a lot better than what 911 systems do. So many people, well, most people believe that if they call 911, that their call goes to the agency that's responsible for protecting them. Unfortunately, there are literally, if you Google it, it's quite sad. There are hundreds of cases of people, young and old, whom have died because 911 does not work that way. When you call 911, basically, the call is supposed to go to the cell towers, and the cell towers determine where you're at, and they route you to the appropriate police agency or fire agency, EMS, a public safety agency. Well, a lot of times that does not happen, and the location that the cell tower reports you to be in could be quite off, and that makes it very difficult for folks like police, fire, EMS to be able to respond to your location and help you. And I, as an auxiliary police officer, can tell you that, and you guys notice if you have ever had an emergency, every second feels like an hour. So the big problem with cell phones and the way they report and the technology is the chips they put in cell phones is very inexpensive because manufacturers want to maximize the most profit. If they use military grade chips, it would cost $45,000 for a cell phone. Nobody would buy it. So what happens is that the cell phone determines your location, it sends it to a tower, and the tower says, okay, is this the location? If it's not, it goes ahead and sends it to the telephone network, and that's where your call gets connected to a 911 center. And again, your location could be off by as much as a mile, even in certain cases. In the metropolitan areas, it's even worse. So we looked at that problem and the fact that honestly there are hundreds of people dying every year calling 911, thinking they're being saved, but the first responders are not given accurate information. So when they try to respond, they can't respond at a level that could be very helpful. We did a presentation to City of Shaker Heights, for example. They had a situation similar to you folks. There was a fire in an apartment building, and a young father actually called 911 right away to report it. The call went to the dispatch center. The dispatch center, I'm not sure exactly what happened. 4.5 to 5 minutes later, they transferred the call to Shaker Heights Fire Department. Shaker Heights Fire Department, within a minute and a half, was on scene. So they were phenomenal in responding. But by then, this young man and his 4-year-old son died. Okay, all because of cell phones and how 911 gets handled. So what we did is, and it was quite painful, frankly, is we wrote technology that allows you, if you have a smartphone, for example, just by tapping on an icon, it allows you to be able to request help from the public safety agency, and that time is only 3 seconds, okay? So what we do, and I'll show you in a live system very quickly, what, for example, Reminderville police fire can do is they go to a location information, they set up what we call an electronic geofence. So, because I already set an example one, I'll just call this reminder 2. Whatever is the emergency number for Reminderville would go in this section for police, fire, EMS. Okay, and even by time of day and day of week, depending on the resources Reminderville has, that number can change. So the next thing that happens is, since I've already done a geofence for Reminderville, I'll do one for Chagrin Falls, just to show you guys how easy this is to set up. So I type in Chagrin Falls, I can zoom in as far as I want, and let's say these are the boundaries for Chagrin Falls, and I'm going to make it a strange shape. All right? The second I connected the first point to the last point, we just set up an electronic geofence for your community. That means anybody that has your app, if they tap Get Help, within 3 seconds, the system knows you're inside that geofence. It will automatically call whatever number has been set up by Reminderville as the safety number. So it avoids going to 911, it avoids going to where time could be spent, and very, very quickly, not only the dispatch center phone will ring, also the location is directly related to them as well. So it literally took me 10 seconds to set up a geofence for Reminderville, and not only that is always active, but if your residents go anywhere in the United States and if they use your app, they tap Get Help, within 3 seconds it says you're not in Reminderville, and it connects them directly to the closest 911 center. So users never have to know where they're at. The system takes over and goes ahead and connects them to help. So when I click on Submit, we just created a geofence for Reminderville. You are allowed to set up to 15,000 separate geofences, okay? So if there are other communities around here, like Bentleyville is implementing the system as we speak, if your resident goes to Bentleyville, and something happens to them, they tap, get help, within 3 seconds, it's gonna connect them to Bentleyville PD for them to respond, versus the call going to Cuyahoga County Comm Center for them to ask a bunch of questions. Who are you, what are you doing, what's the nature of your call, and hopefully they're not too busy, then they transfer the call to the appropriate agency. You cut out the middleman, and you report the location. So that quickly, I set up a geofence for Reminderville. Just to give you guys an idea, in the olden days, a few years ago, if you wanted to do that, it's called setting yourself up to be your own public safety answering point. AT&T charges you $175,000. So you guys can do it in 10 seconds, and I guarantee it's a lot less than that. So what happens is, if somebody is within your geofence and they tap get help, your system, because this is your system, takes over, and within 3 seconds, you can have, let me just stop this from doing that. Within 3 seconds, both voice and the computer connection happens. So if you guys are in a place where if you dial 911, your call could go to the county next door because of the location of where you are. With this system, that never happens because you are on your system. You manage that system. It does what you told it, and again, you set up the geofence, you own that location. So your call, in case of, very unfortunate case of these condos catching on fire, the call would not have gone to the county. If you set it up as your geofence for fire, for example, to come to you, it would have come directly to your fire department. Then, this is cloud-based.
So who's responsible for putting certain people in certain geofences? Because one of the interesting things how we're set up is we have different counties involved, different, you know, call centers, things like that. How would the person know to be in it, or would the fire chief have to put them in a certain geolocation?
We would just generalize, we would generally put the one number only, and the entire once you set that geofence up, that number stays with it no matter what.
Exactly.
So if you wanted to go to Twinsburg dispatch, it just, both of them will go to Twinsburg dispatch.
Yep.
So who sets up the geofence? The village?
The village.
The app creators of the village?
No,
I would
you
have the
guys.
two chiefs say,
Yeah. It would take them probably 1 minute. This is live, everything I'm showing you is live.
But if you live in, if you live in the old village, or you live in Willowbrook, or Liberty Ledges,
it all goes to the same place.
As long as you're within that, as long as
no,
you're
I
within
get
right,
that. I'm
right, you can,
just wondering,
Next.
do we want them to go to the same one? We all want to go to Twin, okay.
See, you guys own your system. It works for your residents. It works for you guys. It's, you know, again, once you set up, as you very accurately said, once you set up your geofence, anybody that is physically within that geofence, when they tap get help, they're coming to whatever number you set up within 3 seconds, not 4 minutes or 5 minutes. I've been in public safety 30 years. I can honestly say I have never seen a fire department, police department, or EMS, when they get an emergency call, that they waste 2 seconds, let alone 4 minutes. Their job is to save people, they're dedicated, they do it. This system allows them to have good information and to work on it. The other thing that happens is the callback number for the person that called, their name comes up. Nature of the call is EMS because I tapped on EMS. And also, if you notice, the address comes up, the location comes up. The location, by the way, gets updated every 10 seconds. So if the person has to leave their location because they're in danger, dispatch doesn't have to ask them, where are you? You can also have this in a tablet or a laptop, anything that's connected to the internet, even on the fire truck. You can have access to it to see exactly what happens. The other thing that's very interesting about how we work this, here's another example that I had done. We are also the only organization in the country that's figured out internal positioning system. So by year 2025, the government is mandated that cell phone providers are supposed to have internal positioning, okay? If I had set up internal positioning for this room, if you have a Wi-Fi device in your home, in your business, you can set it up for it to be an internal positioning system. So if you notice, we did an example call at our office, and it's coming up and it's showing 3583 Belvoir Boulevard. That's our building, but that's the wrong address because GPS is faulty. The technology in the cell phones is faulty. So what we did is we said, the heck with this, let's not rely on this. The writing in red is IPS, internal positioning. What we do is we connect to your Wi-Fi device in your home or your business. We report the location of your Wi-Fi device. Your Wi-Fi doesn't move. Your Wi-Fi stays stationary in one place. So if you notice, the writing in red is actually the building, the location, the floor number of the room. But GPS, if I was just looking at GPS, it's giving me the wrong address. So with our system, because of how we look at technology and what technology we use, accuracy increases tremendously. Now, if I go,
Do you have to be on your Wi-Fi network, or
you connect to it one time and you're done.
but you don't have to be currently on it when you hit that app, or can you be on your cellular?
Either of them. If you're like, let's say you're outside,
Right.
you're driving and something happens, you can't get help, within 3 seconds you're connected. Whatever geofence you're in,
Sure.
they'll connect you to the appropriate public safety agency, and they'll be able to see your location, and again, it updates it.
Right.
So
No, I was just curious if the individual positioning, if you had to be on a Wi-Fi network for that to work.
Yes,
Okay.
for IPS to work, yes. But the accuracy for IPS is huge. I was home yesterday and I was doing a presentation. Metal, electric wires affect GPS significantly. GPS, you have to have 3 satellites that line up, and they have to line up and nothing can interfere with it before you get a perfect address. A lot of buildings, you don't have that. Yes, Chief?
So, just so I understand, the individual dispatcher is then going to be looking at this screenshot?
Yes,
Or something similar to it?
yes. They can have that on the side.
Okay, but is not, so this is compatible then with their software, their CAD software in the dispatch center?
What do you mean by compatible?
Well, most of those are proprietary systems.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a universal
Right.
public system.
Right.
Somebody such as yourself that owns an IT company, they develop a computer-aided dispatching software and they sell it to that city.
Right.
So is this going to be compatible with that guy's proprietary software?
Probably not, because they look at us as a competitor, but they don't have this technology. This technology is very difficult to create. So what is happening now is I have 14 different public safety agencies that have asked us to develop, which we're 80% already finished with developing of a complete CAN records and fire management system. From the second a call is made till the call is finished, our system will be able to handle it, including recommending units, and when units get dispatched and they're en route, they're on scene, to doing different incident reporting for police and fire is all going to be handled within the system. And overall cost for everything is going to be about 1/3 of what you pay for a CAD system.
But is it possible that the individual proprietary software in our dispatch center, the owner of that, would decline for you to enter into his system? In other words, what if he doesn't trust your, your interface? What if he doesn't trust your bugs and your viruses and your virus software that he's afraid it will infect his CAD?
Okay. First of all, if you notice on top, portal.publicsafety.net, we are not even on pure internet. We have our own connection that only public safety agencies can get access to. Second of all, we are not interfacing with a vendor's product. We are a URL sitting there. You can use as much or as little of our system.
They're separate, then
Yes.
than that CAD. So even like, you could have this set up in the fire truck when you're driving down the street. You can have a laptop and this will be on your screen when they go to a fire or something, and the police will have it like on their laptops that they use in their cars, and it'll pop up on their screen.
Yep.
Maybe a little different way to ask it is, maybe simpler for me, is would the folks in the dispatching center have this up and running? I mean, do they have to have this website up and running? So when Reminderville hits the app, like if it's not up and running and they're not currently logged in or whatever, are they not gonna get it?
The phone is gonna ring anyway.
Well, I get the phone's gonna ring, but they're not gonna get into this location information.
That's correct, they log in one
So
time.
it's something we need to train, say, the dispatching,
Mhm.
Twinsburg Dispatch,
Would that
to
be-
know this.
Would that be your responsibility then to negotiate with the dispatch center and set up their software and all that so that it was compatible with ours?
Well, they're not gonna listen to us, but it's not a matter of
Wait,
compatibility
the other
at
way,
all.
the other way of looking at it is, it doesn't go there, it goes to your firehouse.
So you'd be,
I mean, they could,
You'd be
it could
bypassing
you can go directly straight to the firehouse and straight to the police.
I mean,
Or the dispatch.
I can document that what you're talking about, the particular delays that you're indicating have occurred in this village numerous times. So I can absolutely see.
Probably ours more than a lot around here, because
Probably
we're,
ours more than a lot because we're so close to the four corners of the county. So I can absolutely see the merit behind what you're saying. I'm just asking questions to make sure.
We appreciate that, honest to God, Neil was there. When we did the presentation for Shaker Heights, their fire chief, he had tears in his eyes. He said 2 people would have been walking around, young people, and not dead, if we had your system. Because he took, and he tested it, he said, I don't believe this. Boom, 3 seconds later, he had it.
And council's aware of it. Every time it has occurred, I've brought it to their attention, and they were very concerned with, what do we do about that? I didn't have a good answer for it.
Right.
Definitely fits a need, for sure.
I can literally show you guys, we have 40 different public safety agencies. We started with universities. Case Western Reserve University, Louisiana State University, one campus, now they have all their campuses on. They have 170,000 people that can use their system. Vanderbilt University, Virginia State University, now university hospitals decided to go statewide to this system because of how much safety it provides doctors, nurses, and visitors. We were just chosen by the 3rd largest health system in the United States because 911 inherently has huge issues with location and doesn't let folks like the chief and his staff, you folks, provide the service you really need to provide for residents because you don't have the tool. So, did you have a question?
Yeah, you gotta excuse me, I'm a little technology challenged here.
Please.
So you're saying in this case, we would be bypassing the dispatcher and going directly to our own
You could-
safety units?
You could do whatever you like. That's the beauty, it's your system. You want it to go to them and for fire to know simultaneously, it's doable. You want it to go just to fire, it's doable. If you want it to all go there, you guys can set whichever way you want this to work. I can tell you though, if he knows something is going on, within seconds, him and his staff are going to respond. They're going to be on the ball to make sure that you don't have issues where your call gets bounced all over the place. Or if, they have limited number of people that, operate these centers. If it's a Friday night and they're really busy, you're going to get the priority they can give you. With this, your residents are your priority.
And residents would have to have a smartphone device in order to take advantage of this?
Yes, if they don't have a smart device, we have a website, they can register for your municipality, and when they call, the caller ID would bring up the screen to advise you whom is calling you. But if they have a smartphone, it's much, much better. By the way, nationally, the stats show 72% of all the calls to 911 are coming from smart devices. And it's going to go up to probably 90-some+% because landlines are losing business deal for phone companies, and data is a gold mine, so they're doing everything they can to eliminate dumb phones.
Come on.
Yeah, I know, it's hard to believe phone
Still has
companies.
one. He's got the old.
I know, I'm probably the only one in this room that has a dumb phone, but.
No,
I was
it's
just
two of
saying.
us.
Yeah.
Very good.
Nice.
Oh, yours is
Yeah.
dumb phone too?
Yeah.
When you
Been
brought
married?
up the address of this building, it came up as Aurora.
Anybody else?
Reminderville. Was there a reason for that?
It's whatever the mailing zip code is what's indicated in the system. Okay, but the location was accurate, which is what's really important. So it shows the location. The other thing the system does is, and a lot of, I'm diabetic, I really like this system because if I call for help, also because I chose to put in certain conditions I don't have seizures yet, but it will bring that up for first responders. So if the fire department knows this person is diabetic, I think they'll take different actions than they normally would. So the more information we can give them, the more people put in. And believe me, we started with college students and nobody wanted to use this. Then actually 3 college students ended up getting into a really bad situation. They tapped Get Help. One of them had the application and they were saved. They actually went on TV and talked about it. Even their parents called a U.S. Senator, Chris Murphy. Senator Murphy went and interviewed the students, the police department, all of that. Make a long story short, it's on YouTube. He sent a letter to the Department of Justice and Department of Education asking them to consider making our product a national standard for safety because of the life-saving aspects of it.
Can this software also act as a mass notification or
Yes,
reverse
sir.
911 system? Is there an additional cost to that?
No, it's all integrated. So let me show you what you can do very easily is use this as a mass notification tool. So there are 2 different ways you can do it. If something really bad happens, if a truck overturns, is carrying some nasty stuff, you want to send out a message extremely fast, you could have pre-saved messages. You go there and basically, if you want to send a message out, all you do is you click on send message. And you can do it with your smartphone also if you have credentials.
And it's permissible to also use that system then for non-emergency
Yes,
notifications, school clothing, that
yes,
sort of thing?
yes. You can simultaneously send to Twitter, Facebook. You can display it on computers that have, we also have a panic button. So you can have it like in City Hall. If something happens, people push down 2 keys simultaneously and it sends a silent message to the police department advising them that a panic button was pressed on what department. But anyway, for mass notification, all you have to do is you choose, I want to also do an email, and because I chose Twitter, it says which accounts in Twitter, and I can choose unlimited number of accounts. You type your message one time, and because I chose multiple ways to send it out, it copies the same message in all the boxes, so I don't have to retype them. I can go in and choose whom I want to send it to. So I want to send it to the police, I want to send it to the administrator, to maintenance, if I wanted to put in fire department, you can have unlimited groups. Then if I want to send it to specific places within the village, I can go here and say, I want to send a message to everybody that lives on these streets only. I don't want it to go anywhere else. I just set up a geofence. It's going to send the methods, the groups you set up, just to that. Let's say that truck driver that spilled hazardous material, suddenly you have a plumage factor. Actually, fire chief of Painesville helped us design this. Painesville has been using this for a couple of years now. So I can go and say, this is where the truck overturned. Give me a 0.29 mile radius. I want to tell everybody to get out of Dodge and where to go. You also have another tool that you can use. If something happens and you want to reach all your residents and tell them what to do and more importantly what not to do, because a lot of times folks overreact and they do things that harms them, you can actually send a mass notification. Within the app itself, there's an option for resources. So you guys can build in resources of actions people should take. You have a flood, don't go in the basement, you smell gas because there was a main gas break, don't turn on lights, leave your house, leave the windows open, make sure static electricity doesn't build. You can literally send tens of thousands of those messages in a matter of a minute or two to all your residents. And that comes up when they tap it, part of services and tips, under emergency resources. You guys set it up. The way you do it is you type it in word processing, save it to PDF. It allows you to upload it into the system, give it a name, choose an icon, you're done. Now your residents have access to life-saving information. So people can get in touch with you, you can get in touch with them. Another feature we have, which is, so that's for mass notification. I could just send it out. It's very simple, very efficient in getting info out. Another thing you have is, I know you guys don't have this, but sometimes our residents exaggerate a little bit of what's going on. There's a big fire. Somebody set something on fire. And, we go lights and sirens and we see it's a small bushfire or something like that. So what we developed is we have a feature, it's called text to dispatch. If there's a suspicious guy across the street, instead of me going out to the street and saying, hey buddy, what are you doing here? Which is not a good idea. I could literally from my house use the iReport program. I can take a video of him or her up to 3.5 minutes. The second I click on send, it sends the video to your department. Police officers that are responding to that call can also see.
Going nuts.
Do you know how many videos I got today?
You'd be surprised. You won't get that many because we were really worried about that. But people, this is really your own 911 system. So people take it very seriously. And with these features also, what you end up getting is, we had somebody that thought a bomb was left in the library. And they actually took a video of the guy leaving it. It went to police officers, they responded, and on their laptop they could see the video of the guy, and here the guy comes walking out of the library. They arrested him. The bomb squad viewed the video and decided this could be a bomb. So anyway, so having information that's very fresh will really help you form your response and will help save lives as well. So the system has about 18 different features. You manage whichever one you want. One other thing we have is the more communities go on this, we have what's called global geofencing, or one of our mayors calls it friendly zone. The way it works is that, again, if I'm going to be talking to Chief of Solon very shortly. Let's say Solon goes to this, and if your residents from here are in Solon, and if there's an issue, they tap it, it's going to go to Solon because they can respond to it a heck of a lot faster, and they'll know exactly where you are, versus it going to the comm center asking you a bunch of questions, sending it back to Solon. Honestly, it's been described as eating like this. Doesn't work that well. 911 was perfect with the old technology. It has big issues and people are dying. This technology and the way it's designed, it's meant to give control to you guys and not rely 100% on the system that has bugs and issues built into it. And also for your businesses too, we have a program. There are basically 4 icons. When they tap it, it registers their location and their business to your system. So anybody else in that location has this app, even if they're not registered. They tap Get Help, it's going to report the business location, including their address, unit number, and the name of the business to you. So if one person registers, anybody that is using this application in that area will benefit by it. The other thing we do is we have a marketing department. They'll work with you guys to get the word out to people, because if folks understand the voids in 911, people would want to join, and it's free to them anyway. They would want to use this technology because it literally could mean the difference between life and death if they're in a real emergency. You can also have it set up for non-emergency calls also, which we did for Bentleyville. So if it's a non-emergency call, they tap it, again, it'll call whatever number you have assigned to it. Then you have the emergency calls where, again, depending on how you want to set it up, the call comes here, goes somewhere else, call goes somewhere else, but you guys are advised that it's happening at the same time. Okay?
Anybody else got any questions before Chad wraps it up? Sorry, but I thought it was important to listen to.
It was.
So, anybody else got any questions? No? Thanks, Chad. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
I'll be getting in touch with you.
Thank you very much, man.
Chad, do you have any kind of brochures or anything?
Yes, sir, I do. Thank you for reminding me.
You're in Reminderville, buddy.
That's
That's what we do.
I appreciate it. I want to remember that.
Their new motto.
We gotta change it on signs now.
Great.
What we do. I'm sorry.
Thank you. All right, got one, boss.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Of course, I have a dump phone, so this one's gonna be.
Yeah, it will. You can register.
I know.
Might be time to upgrade.
Nope, I'm good. Oh,
If anybody wants one, I'll be more than happy to. You're welcome. Thank you. Sir.
Mayor.
I know, that's what I thought when you were doing.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I still have teams.
So we're gonna ask for statements from our three candidates for council. Before we do that though, I do want to say we had 12 people apply for the position. We had 10 actually show up for the interviews last week, Monday. And we have narrowed it down to 3 awesome candidates. And again, thank the 3 of them, Ernie, Andrew, and Rod, for being here. And at this time, during their presentations, I'd like anyone in the audience to please keep it quiet so we can have their full attention as they go. Anyone want to volunteer to go first? We can do them in the order they're on here, and that would put you up, Andrew.
Hello, my name is Andrew Darrow. Thanks for your time this evening. I'd like to outline why I feel I'm the ideal candidate for this position. So I have experience in 3 key areas that make me an ideal candidate. First of all, my background is chairman of the Long-Term Community Development Committee, my experience in marketing communications, and my experience in project management. I joined the Long-Term Committee in 2010 upon moving to Reminderville. Shortly after, in January of 2012, I was voted chairman, position I've held since then. This committee, amongst some other projects, we are partially responsible for getting a trail system that's being developed that's going to connect to the Liberty Park Nature Center. As a member of the committee, I've gotten the opportunity to work alongside the mayor, select members of the council, residents, and other committee members as well. It's been a great experience. I think more importantly, as a chairman of the committee, it's kind of, I've learned to adopt a mindset of thinking strategically for Reminderville's long-term and short-term future. And a way I've kind of learned to think like a councilman, learned to evaluate situations as I feel you guys would as well. I feel that my experience, I've greatly enjoyed serving as a member of the committee, and I'm eager to build off that experience as a member of council as well. Secondly, I've got experience in marketing, communications, public relations, and advertising. As I look at the issues facing Reminderville in the upcoming future, I think the rec center's got to be at the top of that list. I'm sure everyone would agree that. I look at the rec center as launching a new product. It's something that's going to need to be marketed and promoted. You're going to need to bring in new memberships from residents and neighboring communities. It's going to need to promote the activities and events being held at the rec center, and I feel I'm the man who can help with that job. I've marketed over hundreds of different products in different industries. I've written countless pieces of sales literature, flyers, brochures, press releases, and also created advertising. I've run several websites and social media campaigns. I've also, a few years back down in Cincinnati, I planned to organize an event that brought in 60,000 people over one weekend. It was a pretty big success. So I'm confident that my experience in marketing and communications can help make the rec center an overwhelming success. Lastly, I've got experience in project management, and I kind of went into a little bit of this when we talked last week, but I'll go into a little bit more. I've managed the budget and costing for multi-million-dollar product lines. I've got experience in road mapping, finding out where a brand or product's going to be 1, 3, even 5 or more years down the line. I'm very familiar and used to dealing with strict schedules, tight deadlines. I've also engaged in, very familiar with leading cross-functional teams. We bring people from different departments, different companies alike, working towards one common goal. I'm pretty confident that my experience in project management can help me handle the various projects a council member may have on his or her plate at any given time. As a quick side note, actually, when I was a little bit younger, I worked at Lakewood pools and Orange pools. Started as a lifeguard, eventually learned to swim, and eventually was a pool manager. So a little bit of experience in aquatics and recreation that may come in handy as well. So in summary, I feel those areas I just outlined, the long-term development committee, the marketing, and the project management, make me a good candidate. I love Reminderville. Living here has been absolutely tremendous. My wife and I have made some great friendships. Really enjoyed serving as a member of the committee and eager to build off that experience. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And of course, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rod?
Deference to time, I'll stick with my notes very closely. Okay, answering that question, why I should be considered for council. I'm ready, willing, and able to join this excellent group of leaders already, set aside and charged with the responsibility of democratic decision-making and the action on behalf of our community. I did not feel a need to step forward or run when you had a full team, but since there is now a vacant position, I would be privileged and honored to serve at your side to help you meet the current and future needs for high-quality local infrastructure, public services, and the performance of regulatory functions in a way that is most cost-effective to both households and individuals. To speak to past roles in my life, which clearly contain relatable experiences and training in critical thinking, conflict resolution, crisis management, creative problem solving, and planning and implementation. The experiences that I've had arise from being a military officer, a business executive, a national consultant, and a college professor. I was often faced with considering the desires and needs of individuals while actually being responsible for the overall good of the organization or community. Thus, I have a sincere appreciation for the challenge of distinguishing wants versus needs and can-dos versus must-dos. Finally, examples of the results of others' assessments of me. The Air Force awarded me the distinction and designation of commander, which carries with it full authority for Article 15, charging and adjudication. Being selected to provide leadership and direction to the Mayor of Washington, D.C., and the Community Public Health Benefit Corporation to successfully avert an impending crisis for their key community hospital. Assisting them involved empathetic listening, assessing and integrating the wants and needs of the constituents, activists, unions, and business leaders. Then finally developing a go-forward plan that would be acceptable to all. My final example is being elected by my professional peers to serve as Vice President of the Board of Directors of the National Management Engineering Association. So with such, I would be pleased if you also find me worthy of serving at your side. Thank you very much for these minutes.
Thank you, Rob.
Name is Ernie Petrovich. My wife and I moved to Reminderville 22 years ago. About a couple of weeks, it'll be 22 years. My lifetime service was in sales, working with people, handling problems to irate customers, a lot of things that you get involved in with problems and how to handle them. I've watched Reminderville grow over the 22 years, and I can't believe that I'm already starting my third year on the Finance Committee. It's just been a wonderful experience. I've learned a lot about the city, but I'm excited, very excited about these exciting times going on in Reminderville. We have the Little Liberty Park project, and we have the sidewalk project to the Liberty Park and also to Solon, which shows that we work with related communities. We have the booming growth with the rec center, with the senior apartments, with the Ryan Homes building, we have a Kensington Homes building, we have the police department adding on. I mean, these are exciting times, and we're expanding, and I would like to expand my service along with it. I could promise you that if I'm appointed, that I would bring you the heart of a servant, willing to work as a teammate, and make Reminderville, which is already a great place to call home, a greater place to call home. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. Amendments to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. President, I have one amendment, resolution number 17, 2016. A resolution in support of the application to the Ohio Department of Transportation related to preparation of a safe routes to school travel plan, which is a prerequisite for future financial assistance for active travel facility improvements funded through the DOT.
And so everybody knows what that's to help Twinsburg school system. The idea is to try to get as many kids either riding bikes or walking to school. This has started some years back. Sugar and Falls probably has one of the top programs in this. They've been national awards for them for 2 years running. It takes a long process. Aurora's working on trying to do it too, so it's not something that's given out easily. And I'd approached both Aurora and Twinsburg schools to look into it about 2 years ago, and now their economic development engineers are moving forward with it. So it's a lot of free money out there, government-wise, and it's also to make the kids a little more safer as they go back to school and to help improve, promote exercise and getting back the way we used to do things back in my old days, you know, when you could ride a bike to school.
I need a second.
Second.
Roll call on adding resolution 17.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Condit?
Yes.
Mr. Molina,
Yes.
Mr. Silverston?
Yes.
Mr. DeCarlo?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go into committee reports. Mayor?
You got mine. That was it.
All right. Mr. Carpenter?
About 2 meetings ago, I reported that I had sent a letter to Mr. Aronsky regarding the 4 lots on Glenwood there, that he had offered to the village. I told him if he was willing to donate them, then we would be willing to listen to that. He has responded back to me, and he is asking $49,530, which is the current appraised value on the tax rolls down in Summit County for those 4 lots.
What was that amount? I'm sorry.
$49,530. I have not responded to him, but we're pretty far apart from 0 to almost $50,000, so whatever council's pleasure is with regard to that is.
I would think he could write it off, can't he? If he donates it?
Yeah, I think he could if he was donating. Actually, they were owned by, they were in a business's name, I thought.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the name of the Bright Night or so, I forget the name of it, but yeah, I would think he would be able to write them off because they're definitely unbuildable.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you even do anything?
It would take some work, you know, he'd probably have to do some mitigation, so,
Never mind.
yeah. So,
I'm not gonna get into
if
it.
it's council's pleasure, I'll just write and say no thanks. Kind of.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is that like a choir?
Yeah, he's just chomping at Is that it, Paul?
That's it.
Thank you. Engineering, Terry?
Okay, I have the 2015 annual report for OHM Advisors. It's available on Fox. 10 or 11 pages, but I added pictures, so I'm just going to summarize the report. In 2015, OHM prepared grants for California Street and Nautilus Trail West. Both were funded and will be put out to bid this year. The NPDES Phase 2 Small MS4 Annual Report was completed and submitted. The major projects that were completed, Regatta Trail and Windjammer Trail, total construction cost for that project, $1.9 million. The maintenance bond expires in September of 2017 on that project. Pondbrook tributary restoration, that actually was estimated at $90,000 and total construction costs were just under $60,000. The maintenance bond on that one expires in December of 2017. We had some minor projects that were completed. The Regatta Trail, or Regatta Ball Field drainage project, $38,000 for that project. Clipper Cove head wall, $1,200. We worked with Aurora to replace the crossover pipes on California Street. Our share of that was $2,700. And we dug out the ditch on Lake Avenue. That was another $1,900. Projects that are still under maintenance bond for this year, Nautilus Trail expires in September. So obviously we'll go back through and check any cracks in the road and stuff before that expires. The subdivisions, we actually had fewer houses built this year than the previous few years. There were only 49 site plans reviewed, but there was a delay with phase 8 of Harrington, so we probably would have hit the 60 house mark if they hadn't been delayed. Footer grade checks for the new houses, we did 39 of those. Final grade inspections, we did 64. And re-inspections on the final grades, 26. Other things of note, last year, in 2014, we had done the dedication plat for Aurora Lake Road, and it didn't look like anything was going to happen, and then kind of out of nowhere, Aurora Lake Road was paved, resurfaced last year, so that was nice to see Aurora fulfill their end of that agreement. Yeah. We also took part in the Liberty Road the sidewalk project, and that was completed. And that was it for my annual report. If anyone has any questions, I can share them with Gene. As for my report for today, California Street, taking that out to bid by the end of March. The NTO bridge, we're still waiting for ODOT to respond to the proposed plan. Nautilus Trail West, we're looking at putting that out to bid in October. And that's it.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. For the service department, Sam's report is on box. I just want to highlight a few things that they're doing. They're ongoing, they're checking all the catch basins. And that's important, especially coming tomorrow with all the rain we're supposed to get, and that's something they do throughout the village. We've got all the Christmas decorations packed up, organized, nice and neat, so they're ready to go for next year. And if you haven't been down at the service garage, sometime during the day when they're in there, you guys should go in and see the work they've done just in organizing that on the main floor and on the upper level. Flower orders have been written, baskets have been taken down to the nursery so they can start growing the plants for us for this coming spring and summer. We've used approximately 200 tons of salt in January, so it's a start on getting rid of it. They're doing daily and weekly maintenance on all the vehicles. As small things break, they're going back and getting them taken care of right away so a small problem doesn't turn into a big problem. Now, I met with Mr. Scafidi this morning. We've been having problems with the lights in this room. If anybody notices, the switch on the left is no longer a dimming switch. We had new ballasts down in the service garage that were non-dimmable ballasts. So what they're doing right now is whenever a ballast goes bad, if it's on second row back, they're putting those non-dimmable ballasts into there. If one of these four above us go out, they'll pull a good ballast, put it up here, and then put one of the new non-dimmables in the back. But down the road, we should look at getting the LED fixtures. To get the whole fixtures, when they don't have a ballast, would run us just a little over $100 a unit, where we're paying almost $200 a piece on the ballast just to replace these as dimmable. So right now it's not an issue. We've got enough of the new ballasts where we can continue to replace until we're run out of the dimmable ones, because as we saw tonight, we had to shut off the lights in the back and just kept some light on up front. And that's all I have on the service. Rec Center, Walt.
Rec Center met construction meeting last Wednesday. Got some good news. The steel has finally arrived. They're looking to have the main part of the building entirely closed in by the second or third week in March. The one exception to that will be the pool area. They do have to keep some sections open so that they can get the equipment and the materials into the pool area. And so that probably will not be completed and shut in, I don't mean completed, but shut in until April. The bulk of the meeting was actually looking at how we're going to have our problem with communications within the building, and to make sure that we have all of the proper equipment, and the Time Warner people appear to be the best qualified to handle that. We did not want to come in with cable, and as a result, our phone company really did not satisfy our needs. And so Terry is taking the lead on that, and all of the details that go with getting the wire pulled and who we're going to have to do that. But the main goal is to make sure that when a person comes in, they will have a quality product as far as Wi-Fi goes, and all of the telecommunications that we need for safety and for the enjoyment of the people who use it. And that is pretty much why we have decided that we will definitely go with fiber and not go with cable. Included in that is the possibility that we will be able to bring that fiber so that it is the fire department, police department, Heritage Hall, all of those will be hooked into the same central area so that we will have a way of communicating back and forth with best technology. So we're in the process of getting that developed, and I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll probably have some final decisions and exactly what will be done by Time Warner. Currently, they're working on framing some of the rooms, getting the steel supports up, and the roof will be going on again within probably the next 2 to 3 weeks. And that's pretty much what was discussed. I will not be here for the next construction meetings, and Mario has said that he will attend those meetings, which will be next Wednesday, and then every 2 weeks after that. And he'll be giving the reports during the month of March for what goes on. Any questions?
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Deborah?
I just have one piece of news, in case you haven't heard me say, the audit is coming. It's scheduled for the end of March, so that will be for fiscal years 14 and 15. So we are back on the correct schedule and keep fingers crossed, it goes well. That's all I have.
Thank you, Deborah. Police chief, no report. Fire chief?
Mr. Leo, I'm sure council all has received their memo on the fire that we had on Nautilus. If there's any questions on that. We completed our apparatus preventative maintenance and pump tests for 2016. That's actually in the process. It should be completed tomorrow. We completed our annual ice rescue training over on Jolly Lake. And we also completed the firewall inspection for the senior apartments to make sure that that was appropriately constructed. And on a side note, the assistant chief has been in his NIMS training all week at Shaker Heights Fire Department. He should be back on Thursday. He'll be certified in the National Incident Management System as well.
Did you want to talk about what we talked about this morning with your new hire?
Oh, we have the one more firefighter that's just about completed with his in-processing, with his testing. He has one more test that he has to pass on Monday, February 29th. And then if he successfully completes that, then I've asked for him to be put on the agenda for the first council meeting in March, and then first reading, and then we'll take it from there on the second reading possibly. We could try to pass him on emergency. This would be like 22nd, I believe, of March, or whatever the second meeting date is. And that'll give me 9 days to do his institutional training so that he's on the company by April 1st.
And that'll complete your roster at that point.
And that's it, yes.
Any questions for the chief?
What was the, when was the house built that had the chimney fire?
1978.
That's what I figured. It was around that time.
Which I don't know if I can't remember if it was mentioned in the memo that Bob Rodick has issued a demo order for that fireplace.
For the chimney.
For the chimney. And the fireplace itself. The entire sidewall of that house has to be demoed and reconstructed. It was improperly constructed in 78, it's against the fire code, so he's ordered it demoed.
Well, I know when my parents moved in 77 on Regatta, we were strongly encouraged not to use that fire. So I got a feeling at that time period, none of them were built right.
You're probably correct.
Thanks, chief. Architectural board review.
Architectural board review met last night. We passed 3 fences, a deck, and the new police station addition. So I think Buck's not here, but he's told, so once it got approved, he'd be going out for bid and hopefully getting it going here sooner than later.
Thanks, Steve. Planning and zoning, no report. Board of Zoning Appeals.
We will meet on March 14th. Ryan Holmes has a request for a 12-inch overhang on their front door, which will go into the 25-foot easement, the 25-foot front yard. So anyway, that's in Glenwood, behind Glenwood Apartments, their new section. And
12 inch or 12 foot?
12 foot. 1 foot, okay.
1 foot,
12 inches,
okay.
1 foot. I said that right.
It's the roof over.
It's just the roof. It's a roof over it, it will be connected, the roof over the front door. And if they have it on their model home, it looks very nice and
Okay.
doesn't seem to make any difference.
Thanks, Joe. Finance, Tom?
Finance met today at 6:30. This was our second meeting in a month, which, as we started this year, going through the bank statement. So we went through January's, and we went through all the checks and all the withdrawals, and everything looked good. Our next meeting will be 2 weeks.
Thanks, Tom. Cable, I met with Jeff Cole yesterday morning. We went over the 2016-2017 budget, which is finalized. The budget is $866,000. I'll have copies of it. Maybe Stacy, you can get it out to everybody in an email just so they can see how the money's spent. What's interesting though, all but 2,000 of that 866,000 comes as franchise fees, which is 5% of the gross from Time Warner. Communications?
Communications, we're working on the new village app. We hit a little snag with our friends at Apple, but we're working through those with Terry's help. And currently we're working on the layout. He has bestowed upon us his entire library of pictures to choose from. So we're currently going through the layout and putting pictures in places that they need to be. I actually have a status call with the app developer tomorrow. We do a weekly status call, so we have that tomorrow. That's the primary focus right now, the communications committee. And our next meeting is a week from today, March 1st at 7 o'clock up here at Village Hall.
Thank you, Mark. Long-term community development, Andrew.
Sure. We've been looking at some different ways to, I'd say subtly, mostly subtly, enhance the downtown park areas. We're actually looking into, the objective being to keep them low cost, things like cornhole courts, bocce courts, native plants that are self-sustaining, that don't require much upkeep at all. We're actually planning on presenting to council, I think it's the 22nd of March, the second council meeting. Our next meeting for the committee is March 15th.
Thank you. Parks and Rec?
Our next event will be the Easter egg hunt on March 26th at 1 o'clock, and that's well prepared for already thanks to the work of Stacy and Mark Wilson. We are also preparing for Family Fun Day, which will be coming up on June 18th. We got most of everybody lined up except for the pony rides have not responded. But the rocket cart is set, and Mr. Bojangles is set.
You want the same girl?
Yeah, she hasn't returned any phone calls or emails.
Oh, that's terrible.
And I assume we're good for Friday's second story time at the floor?
Yes.
That'll be at 9 o'clock at the Old Village Hall on Friday?
Yes.
Yes, I talked to her today. She reminded me that in the event the schools are closed, then the library closes, and then we will not have it. But if the Twin Spur schools are open, anyone who can get this message out to people, we will have the story hour.
That's it.
Thank you. Records?
No report.
Thank you, Stacy. And Jack?
No report.
Resolution 8, 2016, a resolution authorizing a $100 donation to the Twinsburg Vocal Music Boosters, third reading. Resolution 13, 2016, a resolution authorizing a $100 donation to the Twinsburg After Prom Committee, second reading. Resolution 14, 2016, a resolution authorizing a $100 donation to the Aurora After Prom Committee, second reading. Resolution 16, 2016, a resolution authorizing a $2,500 donation to the Taste of Twinsburg event and declaring an emergency, first reading. And Resolution 17, 2016, a resolution in support of the application to the Ohio Department of Transportation related to preparation of a Safe Routes to School travel plan, which is a prerequisite for future financial assistance for the active travel facility improvements funded through the Department of Transportation, first reading.
Can we talk more about that, Sam? I know you mentioned a little. This resolution doesn't mention Reminderville at all.
It's the
The attachment does, but the resolution itself doesn't?
This is in support of Twinsburg going after the funding. It wouldn't have Reminderville in it.
Okay, and that was kind of that's kind of my question, I guess, because the attachment says we're committing to certain things. And I just kind of want to know exactly what we're
not
If
committing.
you look at it, you're committing volunteer help, possibly putting, time and help. If you look at the resolution itself, it says in there that Twinsburg School District and, maybe the department is doing all of the funding of it. So, we don't have a commitment that way, but they are going to be asking probably for help, volunteerism, maybe the cost of paper, copying, things like that.
They look for, a police chief, council person, anybody that wants to help in the community, that have children going to school in that district, to help with the process of it. And they do like, ride your bike to school day, they do all different things throughout the process of it. They actually have them come together like this and meet and lay out the paths that they'll go or walk. There's not gonna be a whole lot for Reminderville, it's just that we have so many kids that go to Twinsburg that they look for us to give them support so that when they go there, they, say, look, yeah, these people.
Okay, of course, I'm concerned about the money, and I know it does specifically say money if available, so it's not committing us to anything
I
like
don't
that.
think we have any money.
But I just wanted
The memo and support.
okay, that's it.
Old business? Any old business? New business?
When are you doing your executive?
We do that next meeting. Okay. New business?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Roll call on adjournment?
Mr. Conniff?
Yes.
Mr. Luna?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
You guys want to do it right now?
Go right.